Members, you're hereby summoned to a monthly meeting of Business and Culture to be conducted remotely via WebEx and physically in the chamber, Tuesday the 13th of September. So if I take the roll call, Alderman Morris Devaney.
Here, Stephen.
Alderman Ryan McCready. Alderman David Ramsey. Councillor Jason Barr, given his apologies. Councillor Sean Carr. Councillor Shauna Cusack. Councillor Gary Donnelly. Councillor Rory Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Sean Hargan.
Here.
Councillor Conor Heaney.
Sure.
Councillor Patricia Logue. Councillor John McGowan.
Sure.
Councillor Kieran Maguire. And Councillor Lillian C. Nybar.
Here.
Thank you, members.
I will read the broadcast announcement now for hybrid meetings. I would like to remind everyone present at this meeting in the Guildhall or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. The broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to the attendance at this meeting, you're consenting to being filmed and the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of this council privacy policy may be found on the council website. Moving on to item 4, if any members have any declarations of interest, they can put it in the chat box. Item 5, I have no chairman's business, so we'll move straight on to item 6 on the matters arising from open minutes of the last B&C meeting on the 19th of July. So we have no matters arising? Okay. Moving on to item 7, I'll hand over to Kevin.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to seek your approval to extend the current Northern Ireland Business Startup Programme for a further year from the 1st of April 23 to the 31st of March 24. Members will be aware that since 2015, councils gained statutory responsibility to deliver the Northern Ireland Business Startup Programme, also known as the Go For It Programme. Since about 27, the current contract for the Northern Ireland Business Startup Programme was initiated in 2017 and is delivered jointly on an 11 council basis. It has co-funding with ERDF funding, council funding and Invest NI match. So that contract is due for renewal on the 31st of March 2023, but has an option to extend for a year to allow councils to prepare contract documentation and programme design on a new programme itself. So the 11 councils have jointly commissioned an outline business case which will present future options for business startup support. Whilst this business case is anticipated to deliver a longer term proposal for startup support, there is still significant development work ongoing and the delivery model will not be in place on the 1st of April 23. Hence the reason that councils wish to trigger the 1-year extension option. So the implications for councils is to ensure that there is no break in the delivery of support to new startup businesses. In addition, the Northern Ireland Business Startup Programme itself comes with a statutory job creation target for the Derry City and Strabane District Council area. Indeed, it's the equivalent of delivering 233 business plans, which equates to about 140 jobs in the 23-24 financial year itself. I suppose in relation to some of the key issues, up until the 31st of March 2023, councils will benefit from ERDF match funding. That's 60% of the total cost is funded through ERDF, another 20% by Invest NI, and then the rest through councils. That will cease because ERDF comes to an end. And whilst the EU replacement funding, the Shared Prosperity Fund, is technically operating from April 2022, we're still not in a position to understand exactly how that fund's going to be delivered, what the eligibility criteria are, and whether or not we'd be able to put a bid in for some co-funding to help deliver on the Go For It programme beyond that. So the financial implications are obviously laid out in the paper itself. As I said, the existing contract with the Enterprise NI is coming to an end, and we have an option to extend through CPD for a further year itself. Just in terms of some of the financials, so there's 5 real elements to the Northern Ireland Business Startup Programme and how it's delivered. There's a delivery of the client business plans themselves. That's the ENA contract. That's what we're seeking approval for today. What we're not seeking for approval for today, but will do at a later date, is the cost associated with marketing, processing of inquiries, maintenance of the management information system, and the overall programme management, which is currently being delivered by Lisburn and Castlereagh Council. The financials are set out in the paragraph there, just below 4.2, and there's an appendix detailing the costs per council throughout the 11 councils itself. So in order for us to allow us to press on with the extension, we're seeking the recommendation that as members are asked to agree in principle to extend the current NIBSUP programme, that's the ENI contract, for an additional year in order to allow us to notify CPD of our intention to do that as part of an 11 council approach.
Okay, I have Rory first and then I have Morris.
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks, Kevin, for the report. You know, the SDLP fully appreciate and fully understand the importance of, you know, maintaining the existing Go For It programme in whatever form we're going to call that. We understand the importance of that for small business startups. We understand the importance of, you know, developing business plans that ultimately lead to much needed job creation across this city and district. But we have massive concerns about, you know, the funding arrangements. Previously, we made a 20% contribution. 60% came from EU funding and 20% came from Invest NI. And now there's clearly this massive glaring gap. Prior to Brexit, we could rely on EU funding, and, you know, that's disappeared overnight. And the Tory government have told us previously that they would entirely replace any lost EU funding. And, you know, that promise has not been delivered upon. And we have no clarity from Invest NI at all in terms of, are they going to support us to deliver this? Are they going to support the development of business plans? Are they going to support local job creation? At the minute, you know, the contribution from Invest NI is zero, and the ratepayers across Derry and Strabane are expected to carry the can for this. So I've got 2 questions to Kevin. When do we expect clarity from Invest NI on whether they're going to make a contribution and what level it will be? And when do we expect clarity from the Shared Prosperity Fund? Because, you know, 60% of this was EU funding, and at the minute, we've got zero. So we need clarity on this, and I see the paper as to agree in principle. I agree in principle that we need to extend this, but it's how we pay for it. Thank you.
Kevin, you want to answer that? And then we'll come to Morris, and then Connor has asked to speak.
Yeah. So two questions in relation to the funding side of it. So the 11 councils are currently working. They have an 11 council working group. In fact, there's a future business startup working group meeting on Thursday to discuss these issues, or specifically around not just what this 1 year extension, how that's funded, but then beyond that in terms of what a new programme would look like and how you would finance that. I do know that discussions are ongoing with potential funders, Invest NI included, around what their potential contribution would be. We haven't had anything negative from Invest NI around this ask. But as far as I understand it, I'm not sure whether Invest NI are currently in a position to give any commitments beyond this financial year. I'm not 100% in that, but so we'll double check on that. And I think we'll get more clarity on Thursday around that. Around the SPF, we've, myself and the director have actually sought a meeting with DLUC to discuss shared prosperity, not just in relation to this, but in relation to the wider investment plan for this council area. As far as we understand it, there's an investment plan that's going to be developed on a Northern Ireland-wide basis. Our key focus is around ensuring that there is a fair and equal distribution of funding coming to this council area based on our need. So I don't have a definitive answer for you today. We should have more information as the weeks go by. I think that due to the nature of how you get business cases developed, how you get funding over the line, that information should come sooner rather than later. And hopefully once we do have that, we can bring that information back to the committee itself. I think that based on the funding that we get, that will determine what we do beyond the core activity, which is the delivery of the business plans, the E&I contract. We may have to cut our cloth accordingly in relation to the marketing side of it, the management side of it, and the other elements. And that's why I've taken the approach here today to ensure that we get the E&I contract extension indicated so that we can deal with whatever funding eventuality we have. Not an ideal situation by any means.
Okay, Morris and Connor.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me in, and I thank Connor for bringing, or Kevin, sorry, Kevin for bringing in the report. Probably as the previous speaker has said, look, we cannot fund all of this, but at the end of the day, Kevin has outlined there are meetings having going on the rest of the week, and especially Thursday, where those discussions, we might get some information back from him, and it's good to hear him saying that, look, Invest NI haven't closed the door yet on funding. But, Chair, we are where we're at, and I believe the recommendation here, I have no problem in proposing the recommendation here going forward today. I think it's important that we go ahead with this part of it, and I know ongoing discussions are ongoing about the rest of it. And, you know, we are about promoting new businesses being set up and startups and stuff like that there. But, Chair, very happy to propose the recommendation. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Morris. Connor Hinney, please.
Thanks, Chair. And we would share a concern that has been raised by Councillor Farrell earlier in relation to this. Like, whereas we also have no issue with the recommendation in the paper and the extension. It once again points to the folly of Brexit and the real world damage that Brexit is doing the districts like ourselves and like our own. And I would say the difficulty in getting clear answers from Invest NI is also largely due to the fact that we don't have an executive at the minute, and that the DUP are holding back progress, budgets, and political decisions that can be made that would help this council district. So it once again just shows a concrete example of why we were dragged out of Europe against our will.
Rory, you want to come back on?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just very briefly, in terms of the engagement with Invest NI, if somebody was to ask at full council, me perhaps, would you be able to give us an update on those discussions at full council, just to see if there's been any sort of progress? Yeah? All right. Cheers.
I'm not hearing any discerning voices. The only question I have, Kevin, is I'm fully supportive of it as well, but I see that the marketing budget from page 22 is 450k and it's down to to 150 was, that's a substantial reduction. Is there, do you think that's going to affect the uptake or?
So, as lead council that are delivering, that delivered previously on the marketing element, our recommendation is to the group is to maintain the existing budget, and that any reduction in that budget may have a knock-on impact in terms of inquiry generation. That's still for discussion. As I said, some of the figures that are detailed there are broad figures that and based on different scenarios, but our recommendation is, as I said, I think that from my perspective, it's important that we give E&I a indication as one of 11 in a consortium that we're willing to, trigger that extension. I think then we need to get into discussion around the other elements and ensure that we maximise the ability of the enterprise agencies to deliver on their targets. It's a partnership approach, so there's no firm proposal on the table at the minute to reduce the marketing budget.
Okay, so we'll not hear anyone. We'll take that as approval then, Kevin. It's okay. Moving on to, it's item 8 now. 18.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to update you on programming and marketing plans for Christmas of this year. It's proposed our Christmas programming will begin on the 26th of November and continue through December, focusing on key weekends throughout the period. As with previous Christmas programming, it's coordinated by ourselves and the Business and Culture Directorate and designed to complement the existing calendar of events throughout the City and District at this time. As you know, we work closely with the Environment Directorate to ensure that the various Christmas lighting scheme are complemented by a mix of events and activities, primarily to ensure and enrich an overall visitor and shopper experience. With the success of the Christmas procession in 2021 in both the City and Strabane, the main switch-on events will continue. It's suggested in this format as it allowed the events to welcome more attendees and made for a more magical Christmas experience. The overall programming, as always, will focus on bringing local and visiting communities together, creating the space for shared inclusive celebration around the Christmas period. So a mix of quality programming and strong marketing campaign is aimed to maximise the economic opportunities during this period, while also creating a memorable experience for citizens and visitors alike. So that the Christmas marketing campaign will focus on the shop and gift local and support local themes and will target local and regional audiences. The marketing activities will consist of strategic outdoor radio and press placements with an extensive digital range of digital and social media tactics. The 22 Festive Christmas brand will be consistent with the successful creatives from previous years while being adapted to integrate new messaging themes. So the proposed Christmas programming dates are set out in the report, and members, you'll note there the Christmas market dates. We have said there's an either Friday the 9th or the 11th or Friday the 16th to Sunday the 18th. Now, and you'll note also within the report around the Christmas market that we've suggested a further report will be brought in October. I do have those dates confirmed following consultation with traders. So if members are content, I propose to incorporate that information into this report and presentation, which would save us bringing an additional report in October, which we had just held off due to timing, and confirming that with some of the key traders and making those bookings. So if the chair and members are content, I'll add some detail under 3.4 under the Christmas market. So you'll note there the key dates for the Christmas lights switch on in Strabane on the 26th and in Derry on the 27th. So then we obviously have the Guildhall Craft Fair the 25th to 27th. The Walled City Market, that's the regular Walled City Market, will happen on the 3rd of December. The Mayor's Christmas Tea Dance on the 7th of December, and the Christmas market dates we're able to confirm will be Friday the 16th to Sunday the 18th of December. There will be some additional Mayor's Christmas programming. So the Christmas light switch on event, you'll be aware that we had a very successful change of format last year, largely to accommodate the COVID restrictions, but where we use multiple streets across a wider areas. But actually, and you'll know that Santa and his festive companions travel through the streets with the lights turning on in their wake. It was really successful, and I think the feedback from everybody is that it was a real opportunity, and that the intention will be to use that format again PM, which was very successful. So that would see a Christmas light switch on in that format in both Derry and Strabane. And following a tender exercise, Lux have been awarded the tender to deliver both switch-on events. So Santa's switch-on procession will consist of festive characters, the Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service panto characters, and beautiful bespoke Christmas-themed mobile installations. So members of the public will be able to view Santa switching on the Christmas lights from a series of city and town centre streets, which will allow the maximum number of people to safely line the routes. The Wall City Market will happen in its normal calendar date on Saturday the 3rd of December, but generally in that first market in December there is a focus on Christmas. It always features the best of artisan traders, offering visitors and family-friendly shopping experience with a wide selection of specialty food and handcraft products. The Christmas market will be held, we're able to confirm, on Friday the 16th to Sunday the 18th of December, offering a wide range of gift ideas and specialty foods for the festive season. There will be no alcohol served, so as not to compete with local public houses. It will be located in Guildhall Square, and the market will be open to the public from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. The intention is to accommodate approximately 20 traders, depending on the size of the mobile units accepted. Spaces will be offered to regular Wall City Market traders and businesses registered within the council area. All traders will be subject to an application process. A budget of £27,300 has been allocated within existing business budgets under the Market Development Programme for the delivery of the market. This budget consists of costs to cover wooden chalet hire, bandstand, AV, animation, live music, site dressing, first aid, marketing, M&E and security. Based on 2021 figures, the Christmas market can expect to attract footfall in excess of 38,000 visitors to Guildhall Square, which represents a 107% increase in normal expected footfall at this time of year in the same location. The Guildhall Craft Fair 2022 will see the craft fair return after a 2-year break. This event traditionally kickstarts the festive season for Christmas shopping in the City and Council's Christmas campaign. It showcases a wide range of bespoke craft items created by craft designer, maker and artists from throughout Ireland, and is a real opportunity for traders to showcase their quality crafts at the Guildhall Craft Fair. Mayor will also have an extensive Christmas programming, and the events team are working with the Mayor's office to develop a series of activity designed to spread with all kinds of Christmas characters to spread lots of Yuletide cheer. We're also working to ensure that there will be a Christmas Mayor's tea dance, with details of that to be confirmed. The marketing campaign, as I've set out, will consist of extensive digital and social media strategies with outdoor and social. The What's On Derry Strabane social media platform will have a combined community size of 99,000 followers and will be a key platform for promoting Christmas activity. We'll obviously work closely with our key stakeholders, and main activity, as I said, will commence in November. Christmas in the communities. After the success of the Christmas community activity of the last number of years, officers have made contact with the various representatives in the 5 neighbourhood renewal areas, including Strabane, to work up a programme that will complement the overall Christmas offer. It's recommended that a maximum of £3,000 grant from the overall Christmas budget be awarded to each of these areas to provide complementary programming. While this was a one-off grant in Christmas 2018 and the 3 years since, due to the success of the activities, officers recommend that it be extended for the 22 Christmas period with the condition that it provides quality Christmas programme that complements the overall city and district offer. If approved, this officers will meet with the group, and we will also meet with the groups to review this for future years. Historically, you'll be aware a grant of £1,000 have been given to communities in Castledare, Newton Stewart and Zion Mills, and while it's recommended that this be continued for 2022, officers will meet with each of these groups to discuss this funding and look at options for the future. This budget has been allowed for in overall activity. However, there have been requests for further funding from other towns and villages, which it is difficult to accommodate within the existing budget and process. It should be noted that Council have a wider budget for Christmas illuminations that is in excess of over £200,000, and officers within the Business and Culture Directorate will continue to work closely with their colleagues in Environment and Regeneration to ensure the Christmas lighting displays achieve the maximum impact with regard to supporting business and visitor growth. and focus on the main business and trading areas to attract shoppers and visitors into these commercial areas. Council also recognise that schemes within smaller communities are seen as a focal point for community celebrations of Christmas, and not only enhance the physical appearance but also to add to the community spirit and well-being. The details of the budget for the switch-on marketing and grant aid funding are set out in the report. All activities are procured, and as you know, in line with our policy and procurement procedures, and the market budget obviously is set out in the report as well with that updated information. Members, it's recommended that you note the contents of the report and that you approve the programming and financial arrangements as set out.
Okay. Patricia?
Thank you, Aidan, for that report. I'm glad to hear that the date of the Christmas market is on those dates, because you know the Wall City market's the 3rd, and then you have the week before it, the craft fair. So I think that gives a good spread of dates, being the 16th, the 18th of December. So just it is good that the neighbourhood renewal areas are getting that grant aid again too, because they really do put on a good show within communities. Just a wee touch on the historical grant of £1,000. You know, I know this has come in nearly every year, and every year we're saying, you know, we will engage. And it's not that you begrudge £1,000 to these communities, small towns and villages, but as you said in the report, there's others coming in, and there could be an equality issue here. So, you know, I think we really need to do an equality impact assessment on this, and there really needs to be movement on the discussions on how we're going to address this in the future. I think, you know, it's time to be addressed. Okay, thank you.
Rory next, and then I'll come to people in the chat box.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Aidan, for the report. Thought last year's Christmas was absolutely fantastic, and you know, the highlight for me was the Christmas light switch on. And I think, you know, the parade and the procession through the streets of the city was a welcome departure from the usual switch on in Guildhall Square. So I'm really glad that COVID innovation is going to be replicated this year. City looked great, you know, the lights, the trees, the buzz, the excitement, and obviously Santa Claus coming to town. So thoroughly looking forward to this year's festivities. But I've got a question about the budget. I know that we're sort of throwing on the Christmas market, which wasn't on the paper. So how does the budget for this year compare to last year in terms of spend? Happy to second the item as well.
Yeah, budget's the same as last year across all of the factors.
And Aidan, sorry, I didn't bring you in on Patricia's point. You'd asked you'd said something, Patricia, so I moved on.
I think you may be referring to the £1,000.
Happy to note that, and we will pursue those discussions. It probably would be appropriate maybe if we brought up into the members' working group with a view to re-engage in some of those discussions. But yeah, happy to note those comments and take that forward.
I'll come to Maurice Devaney and then to Derek after that.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me in. And look, I don't know whether the item has been proposed, but if it needed a proposer, I would propose it. I've no problem. And I just want to say thank you to Aidan for the piece of work. And it's a huge piece of work here, delivering up to Christmas and all the celebrations and around Christmas. And I have to laugh, my wee grandson's only 4, and he informed me last night there's only 4 sleeps to Christmas. So maybe he has got it wrong, but when you look at this coming up now, it's not that far away. As I said, a huge piece of work. And look, I understand last year with the COVID and stuff like that there, it was spread out. I think that that has worked. It has really worked, and it's good to see that is happening this year again. And look, and around the two rural areas, Sion Mills is Castledare getting £1,000. I don't have any problem with that, but I do hear and around EQIAs, you know, maybe if that did take place, there would be other rural villages on the list could be calling for the same amount of money. But anyway, look, I welcome the news on the market and around the craft fair, and it seems to be well spread out the year, and everyone will have their own individual time. And look, I look forward to it unfolding, and let's have another spectacular Christmas event and around all the difficulties that we're having at the moment. But Chair, happy enough with the recommendation.
Thank you. Derek, next, then Emmett Doyle.
Thank you, Chair. Not a member of committee, but thank you for the opportunity. I think it's already been referred to there, 3.4. There was additional information that Aidan was giving us. I appreciate a reiteration of those amounts that she was referring to in that. And on the point Patricia was making, also the issue of equality. I note the 3,000 going to the 5 neighbourhood renewal areas. Has there been any consideration of the same consideration for the local community growth partnership boards, bringing in Fawn, Rural Spurn and Derg, whereby they, like the new neighbourhood renewal areas, would have the opportunity to assist communities throughout their particular areas? I think that is a matter of equality. It has to be addressed. That all of our communities can be treated in the same way, be they urban neighbourhood renewal or the partnership boards in the rural areas. With regard to the £1,000, I know from discussions that we're already having within the Castledare events group, £1,000 is totally insufficient for the needs of what the third largest community in our district council area tries to do. So there is a need to look at the overall budgeting beyond the big two for the rest of our community, and I hope that that will be taken on board. Clearly, it's too late for that sort of consideration this year, but we should begin the conversation as to how we distribute equally or equitably, perhaps is a better word, to all of our community that we represent. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Morris. Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Chair. Not a member of committee. Thank you, Aidan. As always, we all look forward to Christmas. Two issues. One is I know in previous years, and it's probably embedded into all the work that your team does now, that we have a space for people who have sensory needs. I would like to see if possible this year, that we could have specific marketing around that, because I think there was a bit of confusion in previous terms as to where that would be in terms of getting that message out to people who might need it. And the second point, unfortunate as it is, but we did have a lot of difficulty last year with vandalism with regards to the lights in Guildhall Square and on some of the installations there. Have we had any discussions with community safety teams or stakeholders or wardens in any way so that we can try and address that this year? Thank you.
Aidan, do you want to come on that last point?
With Alderman Hussey's point, happy to note those comments and do appreciate the sentiment. We are, as Alderman Hussey will be aware, we are in wider discussions around, trying to secure overall additional events funding for the wider city and district, in particular Castledare. And I know Christmas is part of that discussion. It probably, if there's an ability to do something around this Christmas within some of those avenues, we will pursue it. But it just probably wasn't going to be in a position for this report. We're probably probably looking at sort of separate routes for some of that activity, but happy to pick up directly. And I know Alderman Hussey is involved, certainly on the fringe of some of those discussions. So we will do that and absolutely note his comments. Then just in relation to Councillor Doyle's comments, yeah, there will be sensory provision, which we have at the majority of our, and quiet space, which we have at the majority of our events, and certainly the 2 Christmas processions, switch-on events will have that, and I know that aspects of that accessible provision has been incorporated into the discussions around what the Mayor's activities will be as well. So we will be publishing all of those details and certainly note that. In relation to vandalism, we haven't had specific discussions as our own officer team, and it's probably something to pick up, and certainly we can relate that to our colleagues in environment who specifically look after the lights, but I know it is something that they will be looking at given the issues of last year.
Thank you. I don't think anybody's looking to cancel Christmas, which is always good, I suppose. I suppose the only thing I will say is that it's a great programme. You know, I think every year we're getting better and better at programming a Christmas programme, and it's great because it brings shoppers to the city. People forget that, but it also, you know, it brings a smile to people's faces. And I know Rory and others have mentioned the lights, and I just think there's not a lot to cheer about at the moment. So it's funny discussing Christmas with the sun coming on that window, but not hearing any dissent. So we'll take it that it's approval, Aideen. Moving on, conference support item 9. It's you again, Aideen. It's your meeting today.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to give you an update on the new conference support model developed by Tourism Northern Ireland to ensure the City and District can compete more effectively in the highly competitive national and international association conference market. The conference support scheme was first established in 2010 by Tourism NI in a partnership with Council and Visit Derry acting as the delivery agent. The aim of the scheme is to attract national international association conference to the City and District by offering support of up to £10,000 per annum through an application process which is match funded by Tourism NI. You will recall, members, in 2019 the City hosted its largest ever conference which was supported under the scheme from the International Association of Suicide Prevention World Congress, which attracted over 800 delegates to the City, generating almost 1.5 million to the local economy. The conference support scheme provided at that time £20,000 to support the association's delivery of this international scale event. The scheme has been revised and relaunched by Tourism NI to help support the recovery of the tourism industry and provide a more attractive incentive to encourage conference organisers to host their associations meetings in the City and District. A number of options were examined, and it recommended that the Northern Ireland scheme should move to a model of £50 per delegate of conference support to ensure that we can compete more effectively on a national and international stage in this highly competitive market. The new model replaces the current model where funding was grant-based on a banding system aligned to economic impact. Economic impact is calculated by the number of delegates multiplied by the bed nights per delegate, which equals the total number of bed nights by the delegate spend per day, which gives you the total economic benefit. The new model is still based on the primary output of number of delegates, and economic impact remains key consideration. However, by having a clear per delegate rate, it increases transparency, stimulates demand, and is considered an easier sales tactic when positioning the City and District to compete and secure business. The scheme is open to not-for-profit associations bringing a minimum of 100 out-of-state delegates for at least one night, and funding is determined based on the number of attendees in person at £50 per out-of-state delegate. The eligible costs are set out in the report, and the table illustrates the type of economic return from £50 a head that can be achieved from a range of delegate supports from up to 100 up to 1,000 there. The scheme is currently supported within existing budgets up to a total maximum of £10,000 per annum, and matched by Tourism NI up to a total maximum of £10,000 per annum. The new conference support model could potentially see applications above the current threshold level of 10,000 per partner. There is currently an application for a conference in 2024, and should it be successful, the conference support would be at the 800 delegate level, which equates to £20,000 support from Council, matched by £20,000 support from Tourism NI. Officers have been liaising with Tourism NI with regards to supporting applications such as the one above, the current £10,000 with above the current £10,000 threshold, and they've confirmed that they will review on a case-by-case basis in line with 50% basis with Council. So depending on the number and scale of applications received, additional budget may be required from Council throughout the scheme period, which is proposed to run until 2030. But any of these requests will be subject to specific reports to this committee and dependent on budget agreed with the lead finance officer. Members, you're asked to note the contents of this report and approve in principle the new scheme with the ability to consider specific asks in excess of £10,000, subject to the budget being available and in line with the match allocation from Tourism NI. So it's just to reiterate, members, this is to approve the change in this scheme, and any additional requests for finance will be brought to you as a separate paper and in discussions with the lead finance officer, because it will require additional budget in excess of what we have within our existing rate. So happy to take any questions on that.
Councillor Farrell have indicated to speak.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Aileen, for the report. So, we agree that we should be actively promoting this city and district as a location for conferences. The benefits are well known. Economic dividends for venues, for the hospitality sector, for hotels, bars, restaurants, taxi drivers. Every business in the city and district can benefit with an influx of people from outside the north. And we've shown previously with the Suicide Prevention World Congress that we can deliver large-scale conferences. So we support this bid to attract and entice conferences to the city and district in a very, very competitive marketplace. But I've got one question, and it's around the sort of financials there. It says we're working on an assumption that the delegate daily spend is around £500 per day, which to me seems excessive. Have we a source for that?
Yeah, that's from Tourism NI, but it's from extensive industry research there. That would include all of the associated costs per delegate. So it's not just that's their hotel room, that's what the overall conference will spend. It's worked out per delegate, so it's not necessarily what an individual coming will go and spend out of their own pocket of a night. It's the overall investment per delegate per conference, if that makes sense. So it can be considerable, I suppose, when you consider what an overall conference of that scale would spend on room hire, on hospitality, on a lot of the other activities, everything else. In addition, each individual will also spend money, as a visitor will do when they're in the region. So when these tend to be, they're specifically association conferences. They tend to be high spending events, right? But where not only the conference organisers are spending money, but the individuals are spending money as well. So when it's worked out, but the impact on the economy is worked out per delegate. But that includes the overall conference cost and the individual spend as well.
You happy with that, Rory?
Yeah, I'll propose the item. Yeah,
okay.
Chair.
I'll get a seconder from that. Seconder, Councillor Henny. Okay.
Can I just ask a question first?
Just sorry.
Please. See the funding. Is it based on actual delegates or projected delegates?
Would generally be based on actual delegates. It's paid after the fact. I suppose any proposal, any offer will be made in line with the projected delegates, and it'd be like any other granted. I suppose you only get paid if those delegates come, so it is actual delegates, yeah.
Okay, so that's approved. I think it's a great scheme. I think the change, making it about actual delegates, makes it a no-brainer. And I think it is a market that, as a city and as a council district, I think we could definitely benefit from actively going after that, and that scheme will help. On your point, Rory, it is the sort of going rate, when you add, if you're doing an Invest in Eight trip normally, when you give out eating expenses and travel, and it does cost you about 500 quid for a 3-night stay. So it is the industry sort of standard. Yeah, well, I think it's just it does seem to be very very in line with the figures that I would be billed if I send people abroad. So moving on to item 10, Sparrans Partnership Project.
Thank you, Chair. So members, this relates to provide you with an annual update on the Sparrans Partnership Project, and you'll note at the end to confirm continuation of funding for the Sparrans Partnership Project. You'll know the background to this, members, that the Sparrans Future Search Conference was held in 2017, and as a result of that, the Sparrans Partnership has been formed in a joint collaboration between 4 councils, including our own Causeway Coast and Glens, Fermanagh Omagh District Council and Mid-Ulster Council. And back in 2018, each council committed to equal financial contribution towards the delivery of having funded the Sparrans Future Search Initiative as well. The funding was originally intended to be for 2019, but due to delays in recruitment of staff, the support was not appointed until the financial year 2021. A project officer and part-time administrative support have been appointed and took up the respective roles in 2020. A number of actions in relation to the development of the project have been carried out. You'll note there, and many of you be aware that the website is launched. We have now a communication newsletter. We have formed the Brand and Tourism Thematic Group. We've reviewed the update of the Brand and Tourism Action Plan, completed an audit of the Sparrans Tourism product offering, engagement, and we've had engagement regular meetings with statutory agencies, and support. We've provided support and assistance promotion of collaborative projects, including the Sparrans Sculpture Trail and the International Appalachian Trail projects. There's been a review and upgrade of Sparrans Scenic Driving Route brochure and signage, review and upgrade of Sparrans Cycle Route register signage, and input and support to the update exercise of the latest edition of the Rough Guides Accessible Britain. And the partnership have also taken part in a familiarisation trip with the Sparrans. There's a number of key projects set out in the report. I mightn't go into them all in detail, but some to note are that the partnership has been successful in its application to the Outdoor Partnership, which is an organisation based in Wales, which works to support people across the UK to take up outdoor activities as a lifelong pursuit. The funding equates to 120,000 guaranteed for the next 4 years through the National Lottery Fund. It will be used to appoint a project officer whose role in broad terms would be to build capacity, identify training and education needs within outdoor sports and recreation in Sparrans communities. Other aims include enabling communities through promoting sustainable use of the environment, enhancing partnership working through delivery, and improving coach and education and opportunities for volunteering. There's also scope to develop existing clubs and create new clubs identified through a needs analysis. This project is very much focused on grassroots and improving outdoor recreation from within communities. Members, the Sparran area of AOMB, or Outstanding Area of Natural Beauty, is only one of 8 in Northern Ireland without a management plan. This is a long-standing matter which the Sparrans Partnership Board has prioritised as a key issue. The partnership have been engaging with the Northern Ireland Environment Agency to assess the options available and understand the role remit of the agency and explore funding opportunities available to write and deliver a management plan. In terms of next steps, the partnership will undertake internal consultation research among its 4 partner councils to understand if there's an appetite, resource and commitment to deliver an AOMB management plan for the Sparrans. And clearly, members, that will be brought to you as a separate report in due course. The Sperrins Walking Festival, the 4 partner councils are working in collaboration to deliver a walking festival programme across the Sperrins. The events will commence in autumn. Indeed, there are walks, that is actually this weekend. Activity providers been appointed to oversee the events with each to deliver a walking weekend in each of the 4 council areas. And you can find further details there on the Sperrins Walking Festival page on the Sperrins Partnership Project. Green Spaces, Dark Skies. Landscape for Life are the representative association for the AOMB across the UK, and they are one of the main partners of the event called the Green Space Dark Skies, which took place over the summer at Gorchin Lakes, the Illuminators Project, so some of you will be aware of that. The partner councils involved in the project have delivered a number of other projects, including the Sperrins Sculpture Trail, which the details of which are set out in the report. And indeed, members of this committee will be well aware because specific reports have come to yourselves. It should note the car park. It notes there it should be completed in September, October. I can't say that will be likely to be November, but work is moving at a pace at that site. And those of you who have seen that, who've seen the sculptures there and at the other sites already, will know that that will be a significant addition to the tourism product within the Sperrins region. The International Appalachian Trail, again, the subject of specific reports, which is a very exciting addition to the Sperrins tourism product. The OM Dark Sky Park and Observatory located in Dava Forest, clearly an initiative by Mid-Ulster District Council, but again, a great new addition to the Sperrins tourism product. Causeway Coast and Glens have also secured additional funding for works at Banagher Glen, again, additional product in the region. Garva Mountain Bike Trail, also located within the Sperrins area of the Causeway Coast and Glens, has proven to be a real addition to product as well. And in Fermanagh District Council, the redevelopment of Gorchin Glen Forest Park is again a great addition to that product. Sperrins Partnership Project has a number of priorities over the coming months, which include obviously developing the options for a management plan for the Sperrin AONB, identifying funding opportunities and creating the respective business cases for numerous projects and for numerous funds, forming strong cross-boundary partnerships and the formation and development of the remaining thematic groups. So the priority for the initial phase has been in tourism, but members who've been involved in this project and who are involved in the partnership, and you'll know from reports that there are other thematic groups that will be taken on. The partnership project is presently funded by 4 councils at a total cost of £88,000. Going forward, it's anticipated that the annual operating costs will remain the same. Officers are currently looking and always looking to secure additional funding from other external sources for relevant projects. The contribution made by each council includes salary and programming costs. Each council has committed circa £22,000 for the current financial year and committed to continue to fund each year after annually, which is requested through the project's lifetime to extend the project to maintain its momentum and build on the early successes. Members, you're asked to note the content of the report and agree to continue to offer financial support for the continuation of the Sperrins Partnership Project at a cost of £22,000 annually, subject to confirmation of the reciprocal financial contribution of all partner councils. This funding will clearly be vital to ensure the Sperrins Partnership Project can deliver on its vision as outlined at the Sperrins Future Search Conference, subject to match and agreement from all partner councils.
Okay, Councillor Morris Devaney, you're in the chat box.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me in. And once again, can I just thank Eddie for the presentation here on this report. And it is a huge piece of work. And the potential, if we had it's like a jigsaw. It's about putting all the jigsaw in place. We have part of the jigsaw there, but there is some more work to be done. And I do take on board 18 and around that management plan. I think that needs to be really worked on. And the huge potential when we have this all finished is huge for that rural area, to encourage people into that rural environment and create a healthy living style, walking and walks around such as a wonderful area. And Chair, I have no problem in proposing the recommendation here. And once again, thank Erin for the work.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that, Chair.
Just a second that, and I'll go to Derek now, Councillor Derek Hussey.
Thank you, Chair. As you know, I'm not a member of the committee, couldn't second that, but would totally endorse the recommendations that are in front of us. It was myself and Councillor Kieran Maguire were two representatives who were part of the future search. This has been on the back burner for a long, long time. It's time to kickstart it. Let's get this going for the good of the rural community of those particular areas. And I totally welcome and support the recommendations that are in front of committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Derek. So that's carried. Move on to item 11 now, the Jazz Festival.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to give you further information and update you on the outcome of the 21st City of Derry Jazz and Big Band Festival and to seek your approval to progress with the programming and promotion of the 22nd City of Derry Jazz and Big Band Festival in 2023. I know we covered a good bit of this background in July, so I'll maybe just skim through some of the key things, but you'll know that we had a very successful jazz festival in April, beginning of May of this year, which was our first year back after the pandemic. We recorded highest occupancy, peaking at our highest level of 99.11% on Saturday, the 30th of April. We saw 70,000 visitors. We ran an extensive, huge programme, extensive education programme, masterclasses. As you know, the festival is a huge showcase for the city and region. It has previously attracted international artists such as Van Morrison, Jules Holland, Jamie Cullum and many more. This year saw a host of new acts performing and it, as always, has provided a great platform for our local jazz legends and a wealth and breadth of talented local musicians. We know it's a combination of local showcase and international acclaimed artists that has allowed this festival to grow, to meet and exceed its objectives, including increasing out-of-state awareness, generating high occupancy rates and attracting international headline acts. Venues are very appreciative of and supportive of the measures that have been adopted by Council, and to ensure the development of this, it's proposed that we continue to explore the opportunities with our partners. In 2023, it's proposed that this will continue attracting and supporting new talent within the programme, ensuring performances are in suitable venues at relevant times and continuing to develop the pure jazz element of the programme. The success of the festival can be attributed to the support that we receive, to contribute to the significant support provided by Council, who provide a coordination, marketing and subvention role. Tourism Ireland, Northern Ireland this year contributed £15,000 through their sponsorship scheme, and Diageo sponsored the event. Also, acknowledgement should be given to the financial contribution as well made by many of the local venues, pubs and clubs across the entertainment and hospitality sectors. We know that in order to keep the festival growing and developing, there will be a gradual need for transitional changes, some of which are already taking place, which will lead ultimately to Council playing a coordination and promotion role, subventing the higher profile acts and travelling bands and delivering on the marketing plan. So members should note that venues are subvented via two channels, which are details of which are set out in the report. Tier 1, which are the slightly bigger venues. That means the venue must have a suitable room to hold a minimum audience capacity of 250. The venue must be making a financial investment to one highlight act or performance of a minimum of £4,000. Council will then pay a maximum of 50% of the cost of this amount. The maximum contribution a venue can receive is £5,000. In Tier 2, venues must have an entertainment licence to qualify. If approved, these venues would be awarded 15% subvention through the jazz budget and 20% if they're willing to book new acts to ensure some new programming is booked. It's the ultimate aim of the festival that the participating venues contribute fully to the performance cost of the acts within their premises. This is a longer term strategic aim in order to sustain the event and ensure that Council's contribution helps develop the event further. Council are also committed to continuing the close working relationship with the many venues across the city and region to ensure the event maintains its strong profile and attendance level. It should also be noted the quality of the festival would not be sustained if it wasn't for the larger venues and booking larger acts. So the Tier 1 subvention rate encourages these larger venues to book these bands, and thereby which will raise the profile of the festival and attract many outside visitors in. Council always take the lead on booking acts that ensures quality and control, and that there's a breadth of national, international acts, and we also lead on securing the travel and accommodation for the acts. The accommodation is procured in line with Council's policy and procedures and is offered primarily to all local hotels, with the allocation being made on the best rate and availability. It should be noted that licensed accommodation providers are also eligible in parallel to avail of the opportunities to programme for the festival in line with the Tier 1 and Tier 2 criteria. Council are currently working with the Millennium Forum to secure a headline act for the Jazz Festival in 2023. There's details. The feedback survey was carried out, and the full details of that are with excellent feedback are outlined in the appendix to the report. Officers propose for next year to continue the venue engagement to discuss arrangements which will set out in this report following the initial discussions with those venues that were held in August following this year's festival. The proposal is to continue with the existing procedure for booking acts for 2023 in relation to size of venues and suitability, and also adhering to Council's booking policy. To issue venues registration forms and advising them of the deadline and date of return. Continue to maximise the return on Council's event budget and the venue's budget, to continue to research for and introduce fresh talent to the festival and encourage venues to book new talent, and setting dates for venues to submit proposals and requests for act. The details of the marketing plan are set out. We had a multi-platform marketing plan for 2022, the total spend of 30,000. The results are clear: average occupancy of 83,000 with 1.4 million advertising value equivalent PR value, and incredible increase on previous years, and really great results for that activity. We had over 60 venues participating with more than 400 musical performances, and 42 venues access Tier 1 or Tier 2 funding. So, members, to realise the strategic sustainability aim of this festival, it's proposed to reintroduce the yearly 5% reduction for Tier 2 subventions to venues for contribution to act fees, which remained 80-20 for this year's festival due to the effects of the pandemic within the hospitality industry. This would see venues contributing 85% towards artist fees and council contributing 15%. And if a venue is willing to book a new act, that percentage that venues contribute will be 20% to ensure that fresh content is programmed. However, members, given the current and worsening cost of living crisis and the likely impact this will have on all sectors of societies, members may wish to postpone this change for a further festival and revisit this continuation towards zero subvention next year. A subvention budget of £15,000 is proposed to be allocated to allow officers to secure headline acts in conjunction with their Tier 1 venues. For the 2023 event, it's proposed that officers worked within the existing rates allocation for the City Derry Jazz Festival, which is £120,000, which is important to note will be subject to confirmation via the 2023-24 rates process. The full breakdown and final figures for the 2022 event are set out in the report, and members are asked to note the contents of the report, to approve the arrangements set out for the 22nd City of Derry Jazz and Big Band Festival. In particular, you're asked to approve the financial contribution set out and to confirm the subvention terms for participating venues for the Tier 2 scheme. So happy to take any questions and comments, and Jacqueline has joined us as well.
So they have a proposer, and then I'll come to Patricia. We just want to have a discussion first. Patricia?
I would like to propose that we keep the 20% for this year as outlined on the report. I think given the cost of living crisis, it's impacting on everybody, and that's including businesses too as well. And we do want to keep this jazz festival going to the standard it is, and increase it. I think given from our discussion at the meeting, the main thing that was going to make any type of a dent on council's contribution to this festival was the sponsorship. And I think there was consensus in the room that the mayor should take a lead in trying to make inroads to corporate Diageo. So I would like to just propose as well that the mayor start those conversations, but also propose the report as is. Thank you.
Anyone else? Do I have a seconder for the, oh, sorry, Sean. Sorry, Sean, didn't see.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Aideen, for the report. So see where it says estimated proposed expenditure 294,000 there underneath proposed income 2023 and 2022 final income. Could you just explain the difference between that and the what is in the rates from the council? Because even with that in sponsorship money, that wouldn't amount to nearly 300,000. Is there something I'm missing there?
We're hoping to get additional money to go up to their maximum with Tourism Northern Ireland. But if you see that set out just where it just counts council's contribution of 120, we're hoping to get 30 from Tourism Northern Ireland, 120 as venue contribution, sponsorship of 20, ticket sales will be 4,000 as well. So that's all of the, so that's counted all as all. I mean, we count council's contribution there is listed under the income, if you like. Does that make sense?
Understood, yeah.
Okay, do we have a seconder, or Rory, you coming on the comment? Or?
Just very briefly, at last month's committee, I've proposed this item, and I'm happy to second it today. Just like to thank Aideen and Stephen for the opportunity to discuss this in detail, and Jackie. It cleared up a lot of the queries that we had about how this jazz festival was funded. And I know when we had discussed this previously, I had asked about sponsorship, so it's good that we're going to make representations to Guinness and Diageo to see if they can increase their contribution, because what they give to Cork versus what they give to us, there's a massive, massive disparity. So we're happy with maintaining, the current subvention that, venues pay 80% of the performance fees, and we pay 20%. We're in very, very uncertain economic times. There's massive, massive pressures on family finances, and that's going to impact the hospitality sector across the city and district. So anything we can do to sort of lessen that burden, we should be doing it. So happy to support the proposal. Happy to second.
Don't see anybody against it, so that would be carried. Item 12, Cultural Grant Aid Programme 23-24.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of the report is to secure your approval for the full retention of the budgets allocated to the Cultural Organisation Fund, Access Improvement Programme, Heritage Animation, Visitor Servicing Programme, Headline Events Funding Programme, Community Festival Funding Programme and Artists and Culture Practitioner Award for 2023-24, and to approve your approval in principle for the continuation of the proposed subvention programme for one-off national events. The proposed cultural funding programmes are focused on the delivery of the community planning outcomes as outlined in the strategic growth plan and the aims detailed within the Council's tourism organisation funds designed to support professional high capacity organisations in the arts and culture sector. The access and improvement programme in previous years, this resource has been supplemented by external support from the Department for Communities and the Public Health Agency. It's envisaged that further external support will be sought to support the delivery of this round of the access improvement programme. The Heritage Animation and Visitor Servicing Programme is focused on supporting the capacity of venues to develop their visitor offering and is specifically targeting the participation of heritage venues within the council area. The total available fund for 23-24 will be 70,194.25, with 13,405.75 having been earmarked to support the cultural organisation costs for heritage venues, as detailed below. Headline Events Fund programme includes strategic cultural and sporting events of significant scale. Based on this year's budget, the total resource available should be 205,000. This consists of 175,000 for arts and culture and 30 for sporting events. Community Festivals Fund enables local festivals to apply for up to 5,000 that attract to 500 attendees and for up to 10,000, which for events that attract more than 1,000 attendees. Based on the budget for the current year, the total available resource should be around 116,200. This total consists of a potential contribution of 30,000 from Department for Communities based on 2023 contribution and 86,000 from the festival events budget. The Artist Award Programme has been created in order to fulfil Action 2K under Aim 2 of the Arts and Culture Strategy, which seeks to create a dedicated fund to support independent artists, theatre makers and arts organisations in the creation and dissemination of new and artistic work. National Events Subvention Programme will provide a standardised mechanism for the assessment of one-off opportunity events, but they require, as you'll be aware, specific council paper in each instance. Based on the budget for 23-24, the total available budget for this should be around £35,000. In November 21, members approved the adjustment of the Cultural Organisation Fund from an annual programme to a 3-year cycle. The awards approved for 21-22 will therefore be continued in this, the third year of the cycle. Based on the awards allocated for 21-22, the total value of eligible arts organisations applications funds will be 195,303 against an available grant aid budget of 192. Members have previously approved the allocation of in-year savings to meet this shortfall. The total value of funding contribution for heritage organisations sought from the tourism development budget is 13,405.75 against an available budget of 83,600. The remaining 70,000 of the tourism development budget was allocated to the Heritage Animation Visitor Servicing Fund. In April 21, members approved the mainstreaming of the Access and Inclusion Coordinator role, with the required resource to be drawn from the cultural capital budget to meet the salary requirements. However, there's still sufficient resource to merit a further call for applications to the Access Improvement Programme in 23-24. As in previous years, once the assessment has been completed, officers will subsequently seek to secure external support for this programme from the Department for Communities Access Fund. Its proposed Heritage Animation Visitor Service programme continues to focus on the development of a programme that engages visitors within these unique venues and ensuring quality visitor experience. The continued investment in and utilisation of our local festival providers through the Headline Events Funds contributes to the ongoing sustainability of this vital part of the cultural sector. It's proposed for 23-24 that we continue with the revised assessment scoring approved by Council in November 21, with qualitative community-based outcomes being the focus. Community festivals play a significant role in bringing communities together, building cohesion, fostering pride of place, benefits that are of vital importance at this time. The Artist and Cultural Practitioner Award have proved an invaluable support to our creative community in what have been extremely challenging times. The programme for 22-23 will focus on securing new entrants to this programme and further developing the capacity within our local artists. The National Events Programme for 23-24 is proposed that we maintain the existing application process measuring both economic impact and media impact and assess accordingly. And as you know, that requires a specific report back to this committee with the results of any assessment. Based on the awards allocated for 21-22, the total value of eligible arts organisations to the fund will be 195,303 against an available budget of 192. The proposed grant aid will be drawn from member-approved rates-based budget. Community Festival Fund may be further supported from external financial resource, and awards under the Access Programme will be submitted for external support via the DFC Access Programme. In instance where subsequent external support has been secured, Council will still be required to provide 10% match funding. Members, you're asked to approve the retention retention in full of the cultural grant aid budget as detailed above, subject to the rates process, to approve the increase in the Cultural Organisations Fund annual budget up to 195,303 for 23-24, subject to available budget via the rates process, to approve the retention in full of the subvention programme for one-off national events. Members should note that given the current financial climate, that agreement on this budget will be subject to detailed discussions with the lead finance officer via the rates process, and no awards will be made until this budget has been approved.
Okay, members, just one question. Nadine, see the 5.4, is that basically if there was a need, for example, to do a 10% rates savings across the board, are you saying that we're agreeing that now, but if there is a need to cut, that budget would be cut as well?
That is more or less exactly what I'm saying.
Well, can I have a proposal then? Or does anybody want to make a comment? It's about arts, culture, festivals and communities. I think it's something we do very well and we should continue to do so. I'm happy enough with it. Connor?
No, I'm just happy to propose it, Chair.
For proposer? And Rory seconded.
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks, Aideen, for the report. This is a massive vote of confidence in our local arts and culture organisations, and it demonstrates our commitment to support the sector, to deliver an exciting programme of festivals and events for next year. But I would note that we were massively oversubscribed last year, and we went above and beyond and found, I think, an extra £116,000 to deliver an absolutely amazing year last year. And I do anticipate that we're going to have a similar level of interest and a similar level of demand. And I do appreciate we're in very, very challenging financial times where the budget that we've agreed in principle here may not be the budget that is finally made available to organisations that need this support. So massively oversubscribed last year. I expect the same this year. So we've got a fantastic sector across the city and district, and we should be doing our best to try and support them as much as we can. But the reality is the money just may not be there this year. Thanks.
Thank you. So we'll move on now to open for information. And we'll take item 13, 14 and 15 together. Anyone, any comments? Okay, we'll take 16, 17 and 18. Anyone? And then we'll just throw on 19 as well. Legendary food update. Nothing, okay. So we move on to confidential. Stephen?